Do you have sound? Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Good to see you. It's been a while since I've done a roundup here on Twitch. We've been busy. Family time. We have that baby. She's 14 months old now. Has a button also. But here we are. Weekly roundup. Music. Classes have been going well. English at the Ready's been growing. And doing this has become a challenge. I still really like doing it. It's a great way for me to record extra video lesson for our club members and for a few of you guys who watch here on Twitch. So again, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the follows. That's all I ask. If you're watching this, if you like anything about it, please follow the stream. Let's grow it until we can get to the affiliate level. And that way I can use channel points and other things to make these. Really, I just want to play with this and give a lesson using all the whistles and bells that Twitch offers, right? Otherwise, find us at englishattheready.com. You can check out my YouTube channel, Rice, JD, Jacob Matlock, Rice, JD, Bridge School Online. Any of these tags will bring up the right YouTube channel for you. I keep these roundups all listed there. These are basically live video lesson recordings. Missing some lights tonight, but what? It's all right. We're going to do it anyway. I keep a list of recordings there on the YouTube. Some of the gaming videos, when we do some interesting things or funny things in the games we play. Right now we're playing Valheim. We will probably continue playing a little bit of Sea of Thieves here and there. But the main focus is video lessons and then continuing to build our English at the Ready club and continue building bridges cross-culturally through the language. All right, I'm Jacob, video gamer tag, Rice JD, weekly roundup, music. That's our topic today. Let's pull this down here. The first two words we'll talk about are catchy and kitschy. The reason I juxtapose these is they kind of sound the same when you hear them. Catchy, catchy, kitschy, kitschy, catchy, kitschy. They are different. Catchy is when something is pleasing to hear and likely to stay in your mind. It's something that you hear once and can't stop singing it. Or you hear it once and it sticks in your mind and you say it again later. It's not always a song, but there are many, many catchy songs out there. I would say we use the word catchy the most when we talk about catchy songs. But we could also talk about a catchy trend as well. What is Stream Manager telling me over here? Nothing important. All right. Kitschy, kitschy, which comes from German, kitsch, kitsch, kitschy. Kitschy is something that's tacky or in bad taste, often because it's overly flashy or sentimental. Kitschy. Maybe you have strong feelings about some odd movie memorabilia or some old odd music album. It might be a kitschy taste that you have. Kitschy could also describe your clothing. Maybe you have kitschy style. Your clothes are kitschy. They're art house style. You look like you're an art student. Maybe you look like you're a 70s disco dancer or something. This would make you kitschy, kitschy style. For example, it looks like my slide transitions are a little off, but it is what it is. For example, plastic lawn flamingos. These are kitschy. When you go to Florida and you see lawn flamingos all over the place, it's kitschy. Bobbleheads. When you see the little figurines with the heads that move as a car moves around, the head bobbles like this. A bobblehead is kitschy. It's kind of an odd, tacky, maybe bad taste. Christmas sweaters. We always joke about tacky Christmas sweaters. It's kitschy Christmas fashion. Some people will find the ugliest sweater that they can, and that will be their Christmas sweater. A lot of my friends growing up had ugly sweater competitions in their families. My family never did. Maybe with our daughters one day, we'll have an ugly sweater competition. I could see us doing that. That would be fun. It's a kitschy Christmas sweater. Collector's items. Like I said, movie memorabilia, music, albums, anime figurines, all of these could be considered kitschy. It's a kitschy collection. And I would say the easiest way to remember what this word means is to link it to the word tacky. Tacky is a definite synonym for kitschy. There's a small town that we like to visit, and I'll make a video about this in the coming days, called Frederick, Maryland. It's very close to where we live, and it's a really neat little colonial town with lots of great food and a lot of interesting things for kids to see. But at night, bar district. Like there are so many restaurants and so many bars that at 7 o'clock or so, the party has already started in Frederick, Maryland. My daughters really like to go to this pretzel pizza restaurant. That's pretty fantastic. It's something special. Um, but when we come out 7 or 8 p.m., people have already gotten started, if you catch my drift, if you know what I mean. So the town's kitschy. It has colonial classic style. It has something for the kids, some history, neat art, lots of good food, like I said already. Many different stores, a very interesting collection of different stores. Some just selling the general gifts that you would find when you travel, like I Heart Maryland keychains and other things, or I Heart Frederick type things. There's a neat little toy store that's fairly unique. There aren't a lot of toy stores left like this one. There's a yarn store. My mother-in-law likes to knit. Very good with knitting. She's very good seamstress would be a good word for her. She's a good seamstress. I'll type that in the chat. That's a word I don't think we hear an awful lot. Seamstress. She's a good seamstress. But there are all these just different, interesting little shops and things to see and do. And at night, of course, lots of bars, right? And it's one of the most haunted towns on the East Coast, they say. I believe they claim it's one of the most haunted towns, if not the most haunted in West. Of course, I feel like we hear that about a few other towns as well. So we can take that or leave it. Catchy versus kitschy. Again, pronunciation. Catchy, kitschy, catchy, kitschy. Catchy, catchy, kitschy. The next word is gig. Gig. Again, the transitions are a little off, but that's all right. Casual term that typically refers to a job, task, or performance, often temporary or freelance. So a gig is something you do often for a short term. Not necessarily. It may be something you just do freelance. You do it for a few hours a week. You may do it consistently for months or years even and call it a gig. But it's a job, task, or performance, temporary or freelance. We use this for music and entertainment. A gig is a live performance, often by musicians, comedians, or DJs at small venues. So we're not talking big concerts. Like you could say that Taylor Swift performed a gig in a city somewhere nearby, but that's a concert. That's a full-fledged big event, huge event. A gig is often a smaller event in a smaller venue, like a comedy gig, or I don't know, an open mic gig. That's another vocabulary word we used this week with our music lesson. An open mic gig. And then, of course, for job or for work, it can be a short term or freelance job, especially in the gig economy. This is a key here gig economy, where people take on individual tasks or projects instead of full time employment. The gig economy is something that basically after the recession, 2007, 2008, we started seeing more and more people like myself start working gigs instead of full time jobs off the rip. Off the rip meaning right after, off the rip after university. It was hard to find jobs. It was very challenging to find professional jobs. So a lot of us had to take temporary, short-term jobs, gigs. I worked as a ski instructor for a couple of seasons. I worked in the hospital. I worked at the YMCA. I worked in a couple of restaurants in my hometown. Not like these were career moves. They were gigs. And some of them I worked almost full time. At the restaurant, we really couldn't work full time because they didn't want to pay us, have to pay us benefits. So we would work 35, 38 hours instead of the 40-hour regular work week. It was a gig, and the gig economy has grown since then. Now, what do people do on Twitch? What do they do on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok? People are finding gigs on social media. Back to them. I don't knock it. There's a reason I do this. I enjoy putting things out there a little bit on social media. I think it's interesting how this has changed jobs for some people. Sure, some people are getting very wealthy doing it as entertainers, and some are just doing better than they would be doing working in a restaurant. I can imagine there would be a time and place in my life where if I were streaming video games and I were making what what equated to more than $2.15 an hour, plus the random tips that I might or might not get, I might focus on streaming a lot more too. So the gig economy, and it also, the gig economy has expanded since COVID. Again, you look at online YouTube, Twitch, look at TikTok. This has expanded since the pandemic. A lot of people, pardon me, lost their jobs and they just started creating content online. Some of it became popular. Sure, there are plenty of people who created content and never became popular or could not replace their job, but a lot of people found a way to supplement their income by creating content for social media platforms or these online entertainment platforms. Gigs and the gig economy is alive and well. It's been a very interesting shift to see. I would say in 2007, I really didn't see all this coming. I think it's great to give people other opportunities and to see how that changes society and what effect it has on us all. That's a whole different class, though. The next idiom is play it by ear. Play it by ear, which means to deal with the situation as it develops without planning ahead. So you play it by ear. Some people are gifted with music. They can hear a song, they can hear someone play a violin piece, a piano piece, a guitar piece, and they can play it without looking at the music, without even knowing music sometimes. They can play exactly what they heard. They play it by ear. In our day-to-day lives, we play it by ear when we don't have a plan. The situation develops. There are quite a few similar idioms. A few of these we've gone over in our English at the Ready classes. Go with the flow, wing it, take it as it comes, roll with the punches, and improvise on the spot. If you want one word as a synonym for all of these idioms, I would say to improvise. Improvise would be it. When you improvise, you have to act according to what's happening around you. You act and react to the stimulus or the stimuli around you. So we play it by ear. Think about a situation and leave it in a comment. If you're watching the YouTube or if you're watching here on Twitch, let me know a situation where you had to play it by ear. When I lived in China, my first year in China, I had to play the entire first 3 months by ear. I had no clue what was going on. I had to find a way to get the right visa to stay. I had a business visa when I first arrived. No, not true. I had a travel visa when I first arrived. And then they gave me a business visa. I said, okay, work with this. That's technically legal. Again, technicality, not necessarily important, depends on who you talk to, right? It was common for Americans to be brought to China and work with a business visa at that time. I wanted to be fully legal. I wanted a work permit because our contract that we signed promised. It said we would have a work permit for working in China. That's not a business visa. That's not the same as a work permit. Anyway, I had to play it by ear and figure out how to get a work permit, go to Hong Kong, which sounded crazy to me. I'm in China. Why am I going to Hong Kong? And hold on, wait. Hong Kong is part of China, but I'm leaving China to exit the mainland and change my visa and then return to the mainland? Very confusing things back in 2010. That's a whole other story that I will tell one day in one of these videos I make for YouTube. I may say it here on Twitch, but it's going to go on the YouTube. For sure. All right. Questions of the week. We have two this week. Two questions that my students really seem to enjoy and gave a lot of very interesting answers to. First question. Do you think it's possible to over rehearse for something? Do you think this is positive or negative? Most of my Asian students, as you might expect, said, no, I don't think we can over rehearse. I think we can rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and be very well prepared. So a lot of my Asian students said their preference was to be prepared, and no, they cannot over rehearse. But a lot of my other students, and myself included, said that I think there's a limit to how much we can rehearse before rehearsing more just creates anxiety for us, right? There's a point, and I know I feel it when I'm studying something, when I'm reading something, memorizing a speech, just like for these video lessons, I don't do a huge amount of preparation. I do a little bit, but I like to play it by ear and I like to wing it most of the time when I do these lessons. If I were to over rehearse, I would become too focused on forgetting a word on a page. Like maybe I forget a preposition, some small word that's has meaning but is meaningless in the grand scope. And I would get worried about this. I would say, "Oh, what is that word? I can't remember the word." And then I forget everything else I'm talking about. Now, you tell me you've never experienced this, where you're giving a speech, you're reading it for a presentation, or doing something in class where you're talking to people and you're completely thrown off because you just can't remember exactly what was on your script. Happens all the time. For my classes, for these lessons, streaming on Twitch, I don't plan too much. I go with the flow because I'm less stressed, I'm more natural, more authentic. Again, I try to be incredibly authentic when I record these videos and post them online. You can watch other people's videos and they're very rehearsed. They're speaking very slowly, kind of robotically in a way that sounds very strange. Maybe it's very slow and it's very clear and very easy to understand. This is not natural, not how I normally speak. Sure, I'm teaching an English class or recording a video lesson in English, and I want you to understand what I'm saying. So I do speak clearly and concisely, but I'm not speaking slower than I would normally speak. Now, I might speak like this normally. If you catch me and you ask me a question and I want to talk and ramble, I might talk like that. But again, I don't have to slow down very much, most of you who are watching, to understand me. This is advice I give to other teachers. Don't slow down too much. Some people think that you have to teach English like this and we must be completely understood and every word must be very perfectly, absolutely, most certainly clear. No, it doesn't, because that's not how people speak. Train someone to hear that sort of speak, and they go and they try to use English in a native environment. They travel to the US, travel to the UK, travel to, heaven forbid, Australia, Australian English. I have a couple of Australian friends who check in sometimes. I hope they see this. Australian English is great, but it can be a challenge to understand sometimes for people. We don't speak way in our countries, in our natural environments. When you visit, that's not how someone's going to talk to you. If you do, if you meet an old lady in the South who slows down and says, "Now, honey," I can't do the voice quite right. Let me have a swig of tea and see if I can get this. An old lady in the South who says, "Now, honey," That's not it at all. Now, honey, what is it you would like to say? I know your English isn't so good. Sorry, I know your English. Why don't you try just speaking a little? This person may not be nice. There's a certain level of passive aggressiveness that goes into our Southern dialect that, as a Southerner, you get used to, come to expect, and you know when to call it. But if you're not from here, you might think, oh, that's a really sweet old woman. She's incredible. Actually, she's being a Karen. I'll call her a Karen because common word nowadays for a certain demographic of women and men. What is it? You have Karens and is it a kin? Is that right? Karens and kins? Or is it Dave? I've forgotten. Let's say it's a Karen and let's say it's a kin that will be a little bit passive aggressive in the way they speak. All right. Second question. How do you feel about using music as a tool for learning language? Have you ever learned something new from a song? This is a question I am asked all the time as an English teacher. Jacob, how can I practice my English? How can I develop my ear? Should I listen to music? Should I listen to podcasts? Should I try to talk to a native speaker? Yes. The answer is yes to all the above. Try anything. What works for you works for you. Try to be attentive to what you feel like works, to what you actually enjoy, and do it more. Don't do something that feels unnatural. If it doesn't feel natural, try it, do it a little bit, and then leave it alone. Some people have an ear for music. So when they hear someone singing, they can understand the words very well. Some singers not use good English. Some singers do not sing in a way that you can understand what they're saying. There are some singers I can't understand as an American. I can't understand what they're saying, and I speak English. I've spoken English since I was a child. Maybe they speak a different kind, or maybe they use a lot of slang or jargon. Or again, music can be very useful because it adds a tune, it adds a beat or a tune to the words we're hearing. We teach taught a lot of Chinese children English. 27, nope, 24,750 on a platform called VIP Kid. Not hits, it's a lot of lessons. And I would often sing simple songs. My mother, I was blessed that my mother was a preschool teacher and she's wonderful with children. And I learned how to interact with kids and how to use music and use song to help them remember things. Simple songs like it's Itsy Spider. I'm not a great singer, so I won't sing the whole thing for you here. You know, twinkle, twinkle, little star. And then in my adult English classes, if I'm working with a beginner group that doesn't know the alphabet, what do you think I teach them? A, B, C, D, E, F, because you'll never forget it. Once you learn these songs, you'll never forget what's in them. Maybe they're just lyrics that are kind of silly and fun, like Itsy Bitsy Spider. The Itsy Bitsy Spider is more about the hand motion. My little girl, Lily, she will try. She does this. she'll, she'll look at me and do this, and I know she wants to sing the Itsy Bitsy Spider. So it's fun for them to try to capture the right hand movement while sing these songs. But songs like the ABCs, or there's a song for the 50 states, there's a song for the presidents. I didn't learn these, and it's to my detriment that I didn't, because there's a couple of them that my wife knows. No, I've heard her sing one or two of them with one of my daughters and one of our daughters. And anyway, I don't remember them, so I'm not even going to try. But they're a fantastic way to learn strings of information in a way you'll never forget. It's added to music, it's a song, it's fun, it's kind of silly, it works. So if music works for you, then use it. If you have trouble understanding it or you don't feel like you're listening to music that's teaching you words you'll actually say, like I don't know, not 2000s or so, there was that Cash Money Millionaire song, every time I come around your city, bling bling. What the heck does bling bling mean? Everybody was saying it. I saw some bling on my wrist. Oh, it means like a flash, like something shiny, something bright. Oh, like diamonds, bling bling. Every time I come around your city, I shine like diamonds. Gotcha. That's a literary way to say, the more erudite academic way of saying bling bling. No. Every time I come around your city, bling bling. Every time I come around your city, I shine like diamonds. All right, you all. It's been fun. My nose is about had it. I need to go, and I've had a bit of a cold the past couple of weeks, and that's where I've been. I've missed doing these. Let's switch over to the talk box. We'll go ahead and do my little marketing spiel too. If you're looking for lessons with me, with my team, English at the Ready, englishattheready.com bring you to our website where you can sign up for weekly classes, master classes on the weekends, weekly group classes. You'll be in a group of less than 5 people or less, and a master class that could have as many as 30 people in it on the regular. Then you get access to our video lessons, our community chat, and our other student resources as well. Down here below, if you want to stay in touch with me, want to send messages directly to me or my team with Bridge School Online, join the Discord. You can hit hashtag exclamation point Discord, or go to both the YouTube or the Twitch site, and you'll find the link, the permanent link for Discord. The Instagram, I'm still working on this. I'm going to post a video. I'm going to do it. I'm telling you, I'm going to do it. Hopefully over the weekend about kitschy. I took a little video while walking around Frederick, Maryland, and I thought this is a good place to discuss the word kitschy. We'll make a video and post it online. I want to get to a point where I'm making at least a couple of Instagram videos a week. I just, again, don't have time. I teach a lot, and then building our little company takes a lot of work, a lot of time. That's where all my energy goes. Streams, I enjoy them, not my number one, right? There'll always be something I enjoy doing on the side, though. The YouTube, at BSO_RiceJD, or you can just type in Bridge School Online, RiceJD, Jacob Matlock. That's who I am. All right, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. A couple of you who've been in chat, happy to see you. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to join in the conversation, whether you're in the chat on Twitch or it's in the comments. All of you take care. I'll see you next class. Bye-bye, everybody.